Hello, guys, and welcome back to the FPL Duo. We're back for the knee-jerk stream for Game Week 11. We're going to react to what we've just seen for this past weekend and also look ahead to Game Week 12 and, talk about this game week. But I don't think there's going to be much to talk about and discuss because I think I speak for a lot of people. I think it's been a proper bad game week for most of us. But how's your weekend been, Jordan? And how you find the football?
Yeah, the weekend's been good. Obviously, guys, just fair warning, if you do hear loud bangs in the background, it's bonfire night in the UK, so just fair warning for those if you hear a loud, massive bang down your end of the audio. But apart from that, the week has been good. The football, on the other hand, not so good, as a lot of us will obviously tell. There is, as we normally say, there is a lot to talk about. We normally say each game week, but in terms of this one, there really isn't, but we'll give you as much as we can on the events that's happened in Game Week 11.
Yeah, so I'll start off with my team. Game Week 11, it's been a absolute shambles. I think this might be the first time ever where my team hasn't had a single return. I mean, there's still 2 players left tomorrow night. Chelsea are playing Spurs. However, I'm not confident that I'm going to get any returns. So let's start off with the goalkeeper, Areola. Now, no clean sheet. They did lose. Was it to Brentford, wasn't it? 3-2 in the end, which, again, disappointing result to say the least. But I didn't expect Areola clean sheet, so that doesn't bother me too much. So he ends up with the 1 pointer in that fixture. Moving along to the back 3, again, it's pretty bad. Matty Cash, I don't think no one saw this coming, did they? Villa lose 2-0 to Forest. I don't know if you caught the game.
Yeah. Yes.
But what did you make of the performance, just quickly, Villa Forest?
You know what? I think Nottingham Forest played absolute perfect football. Their physical strength against Aston Villa was amazing. And throughout that game, they were pushing Aston Villa to obviously the brink of them conceding 2 goals in that game. And I thought every player on that pitch played their part. Aston Villa were just picked off literally from the very beginning. It didn't look like Aston Villa were actually there. That's probably one of their worst performances I've seen underneath Emery and being manager. I think it was a complete shock, I think, to a lot of people. But like I've said before, Nottingham Forest, I think they can be a funny team. Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, there are some results, haven't they? They will pick up some surprise results, and then sometimes they lose the games you expect them to win.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think the return of Al-Wani definitely changed the aspect of Nottingham Forest, because he's a massive player if he doesn't play, obviously, in football games like that. And yeah, I think Aston Villa were not really there in that game, but Nottingham Forest, good win for them.
Yeah, so obviously Matty Cash goes and concedes 2 goals. Annoyingly, he was subbed as well after 58 minutes, so he ends up with 0 points. Gabriel, again, I decided to play him ahead of Burn, which was the correct decision. And even playing him ahead of Taylor, which was a correct decision. So I'm glad I got that wrong, the extra point. Arsenal, however, did lose 1-0. A 1-0 loss. Now, again, I actually predicted a draw, I think, for this match. So I wasn't surprised completely that Arsenal did struggle in that game. I know. But fair play to Newcastle getting a clean sheet. Obviously, as you see, Dan Bird on my bench was subbed off as well. So he didn't end up actually getting the clean sheet points. But yeah, 2 points from Gabriel conceded. Some might think it wasn't a goal because of the push on Gabriel. That's a whole nother debate. I'm sure we're not going to get into that. But yeah, obviously a 1-0 loss for Arsenal. Tsimikas, very annoying. I think rumors started circulating around like half two that Tsimikas is going to be dropped for this match to the bench and that Joe Gomez was going to play. I actually messaged Jordan obviously on the chat and I told him, it looks like Tsimikas is going to be dropped to the bench. And lo and behold, the news was true. Gomez did start first time at left back since 2015, I think, which is mad. And I thought Gomez was okay. Tsimikas did come on for, I think, like 20 minutes. Didn't really do much. Thought the game was it was a bit of a messy game when he came on, to be fair. But yeah, he ends up with a 1 pointer. Moving on to that midfield, again, I didn't watch the Aston Villa game. However, Diaby did blank. Bit disappointed in Diaby. I was expecting another return this week after his 13-pointer last week. But Diaby comes with 2 points after the 2-0 loss against Forest. And again, I didn't watch how he played. So it's a bit disappointing with Diaby. He could be on the... Diaby definitely is on a chopping block soon, I think. I like his fixture against Fulham. So I'll probably keep him for another week. But in the coming weeks, I will be looking to get rid of Diaby. I'll give him maybe one more week, see how he does. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing there with Diaby's performance.
Yeah, he was a bit cold in that game. Diaby's the kind of player, I think he's a hot and cold player. He sometimes does well in one game week, and the next game week he's not quite there. And it was in that game that he wasn't quite there. But I could say the same for a lot of the Aston Villa players weren't really there, especially Martinez. Wow, what a mistake he made in the goal. I can't believe he did what he did.
I saw that,
yeah, it was not really a great performance from any Aston Villa player on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those. Like another blank for one of my players. I mean, moving on to Palmer though, he plays tomorrow night against Tottenham away. I'm quite happy to own Palmer. I'm playing in that fixture, so we'll wait and see how he does. You know, he's on penalties, so I'm hopefully, Chelsea can get a penalty or something like that against Spurs, and then maybe Palmer will convert. Saka again. I thought, I don't know if you guys, whoever watched the game, I thought Saka had a very poor game, if I'm being honest. I wasn't impressed with Saka's overall game. I thought that was one of his worst performances of the season. I think he looked like he wasn't really on the pitch doing much. So very disappointing from Saka. I know it was a tough game, end of the day. St. James Park, Newcastle was always a tough game. But expected a bit more from Saka, for sure. However, I still think, Arsenal's attack for me hasn't been as good as it was last season. Does slightly worry me. The underlying numbers aren't as good. But again, Saka's got the fixtures in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm not going to panic. Still in the team. But yeah, I was disappointed with his performance against Newcastle.
Yeah, Odegaard actually missed out on that game at the last minute there. It was down to injury and he didn't feature. Maybe that did affect Arsenal in the way that Odegaard didn't start in that possibly. But yeah, it was an interesting game for the Arsenal players.
For sure. I mean, moving on then, Son, obviously we know he plays tomorrow night. Hopefully he can get something to, have a return in my team. Moving on to Salah. Now, Salah was a big talking point, as you guys know, because pre-game week 11, there was a debate. Do we captain Haaland? Do we captain Salah? And I think after Saturday evening, when we saw Haaland blank, we'll come on to in a sec, a lot of the Salah captainers probably were rubbing their hands, thinking, Haaland's gone off. Salah's got Luton. Should be a good one. And, lo and behold, Salah goes and blanks himself. I thought Salah had a very, very poor game as well. I thought he was probably one of Liverpool's worst players, if I'm being honest. I know we'll talk about that game in more in depth. And I know a lot of people will blame Núñez for the miss and for Liverpool not winning. But I actually think Salah was worse than Núñez for me anyway. People might not agree with that comment, but I just didn't think Salah do anything in that game. At least Núñez, he's trying to take shots. He's trying to make things happen. With Salah, I just think he wasn't great at all. And that's definitely Salah's worst performance of the season for me.
I can probably agree on that as well. I thought Darwin was by far one of the best players on the pitch in terms of the attacking player assets. I think Salah was pretty much not really there involved. Literally, the ball was going around him most of that game, and the only chance I saw was him, obviously a header across the box towards obviously Darwin. But even if it went in, I think it was offside anyway. But apart from that, not real much. And Salah did lose the ball a few times as well in that game.
Yeah. I mean, Salah comes over the blank again, a bit disappointing, but again, Salah's been really good for me so far. Obviously, he's been brilliant all season, pretty much, but it's just one of those games. I don't think any Liverpool player had a good game, if I'm being honest. It's hard to kind of pick out a single Liverpool player because they were all poor. I think a bar Gravenberch, who I thought was decent. I thought he was good. And then obviously Van Dijk, I thought was good as well at the back. But other than that, I don't think none of them were good. Moving up top then, again, more blanks. So let's start off with Watkins, who did play. Again, Watkins, he's been good, as we know this season. For me, if FPL as well, he's got me a lot of points. But it's another one where he blanks. A Luton last week. Now, Nottingham Forest this week. When we're looking at these two fixtures, we're probably thinking, these are two nice games for Watkins. Maybe get some hauls. 2 blanks in 2 game weeks now, and he's got Fulham next. So I know there was a lot of people looking at Darwin, Watkins to Darwin's. Are people going to be, wary of bringing Darwin in now after his miss? I can see people probably being put off by Darwin now because of that miss. However, I still think Watkins to Darwin could be a good switch for me in the coming weeks, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, and so it's another blank for Watkins. Haaland, again, interesting one, because
yes,
when we see the score, obviously 6-1, you think, Haaland's probably got 2 or 3 goals here, maybe an assist. However, unfortunately, Haaland was injured first half. He comes off. I think Man City already had 3 goals in the first half, and Haaland wasn't actually involved in any, which was a surprise. I would expect Haaland to score at least 1 of the 3 goals. However, it wasn't to be. Man City ended up winning 6-1. No, hauls from Haaland or even Alvarez, who are popular picks. It came from Doku, as you guys see from the thumbnail. Doku was brilliant that game. Pretty much ran the show. I think he got a 21, 22 pointer or something crazy. But yeah, Haaland is injured now as well. I don't know how serious it is, but I do believe Haaland could miss game week 12. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he does. So that is going to make game week 12 interesting, because I don't think it's a little minor injury. So we'll have to wait and see Pep's conference, etc. Because if Haaland's out, it does make the game interesting, I think. But yeah, 2 points from him. So as you guys can see, it's just been a disaster of a game week. On the bench, I've got Strakoshka, Burn, Archer. However, did score a goal for a 9-pointer, so I should have probably played Archer ahead of Watkins and Haaland. But other than that, nothing really to discuss. Taylor's 1 point as well. All in all, it's been 14 points so far, which is probably the lowest game week I've ever had in my life, like in terms of score. I can't remember a week being this bad. I know I've still got 2 players left, Son and Palmer. But even if they score, I'm still probably going to get a red arrow. Even if Palmer scores, I'm expecting a red arrow. So I don't know what my safety score is. Probably nowhere near it. But yeah, 14 points so far, 2 left to play. And that is a big red arrow, I believe, by about 1 million rank. So yeah, I think I was 1.5 million, now 2.4. So at night, 900k ish, which isn't great, but not surprised with the way the game week's gone. And hopefully, again, as I said, Palmer Son can do something tomorrow night, and hopefully game week 12 is a bit more successful. Let's move on to your team, Jordan, and talk us through how your game week game week 11, I should say, has gone as well.
Well, it's almost pretty much the same, really. But I did have 2 returns in my team. But we'll start off with Areola. Obviously, we've spoken about him getting his 1 point, and that loss to Brentford in 3-2. Lost that obviously away to Brentford. So yeah, he got a point taken off for the goals conceded as well. So that leaves him with just 1 point for Areola. Moving on to defence. So we've got Tsimikas, who obviously didn't start, played for like 23 minutes in that draw against Luton. So not really much to talk about there. The clean sheet was white for Liverpool. Luca Dean, again, a shocking defeat to Nottingham Forest. I thought arguably Nottingham Forest played the perfect game, I think, against Aston Villa. I thought that was an impressive performance they pulled off against them. But yeah, no clean sheet for Luca Dean. And yeah, he did get a point taken off for obviously the goals conceded as well. I feel Luca Dean was a bit unlucky not to get an attack and return, if I'm honest, because he did have a couple of crosses into the box, which didn't really come with much, and a lot of through passes that weren't really finished by Aston Villa players. So it was a bit frustrating. I think Luca Dean not getting something from the game, and also Aston Villa for not scoring either. Moving on to last defender, and this is one of the returns I have in my team, and that's from, surprisingly, Trippier, who got his clean sheet and bonus 3 points in that 1-0 win over Arsenal. Now, we did mention that Newcastle's home record is really good, and House, you mentioned to me that Liverpool are the only team really to have beaten Newcastle at home in, obviously, this season. So it just shows the home record for Newcastle is formidable, and that just goes to show. I wasn't actually expecting a clean sheet, though, for Trippier, but he does reward me with 9 points, especially when he was mostly transferred out by a lot of FPL managers for that fixture. So I bet there's a lot of frustration. I think just from Trippier getting that 9-pointer. Moving on to the midfield, so we've got Maddison and Son, who both have Chelsea at home. They play obviously tomorrow in the Monday night fixture, so we'll wait and see what both of them do. But we move on to Bowen, who gets me my second return of the whole team. He does score one of the goals in that 3-2 loss to Brentford. So yeah, he did score a goal, even though West Ham lost. But that is 2 games now where Bowen has scored and West Ham have obviously lost the game. And I think Bowen also made an interesting sort of record. I think that's 6 games away now for Bowen where he scored in a row, which he's the first one to do that in first player to do that in the Premier League. So it's a nice little record for Bowen to obviously be a part of. Finally, in the midfield, we've got Saka. Obviously, he blanked in that 1-0 loss to Newcastle. Yeah, I didn't really like Saka in that game at all. I thought he was quite, again, isolated, not really involved in the play for Arsenal, and it wasn't Arsenal's best performance that I've seen. And it was difficult. It was going to be difficult against Newcastle at home, but I did expect slightly a bit more from Arsenal in that game. But moving up to the front three, all blanks. Like Julian Alvarez, he came off around 70 minutes, so he wasn't a part of the action in those 6 goals that Man City scored against Bournemouth. Obviously, we spoke about Haaland and his ankle injury. There hasn't been any more reports on that, but we have to obviously wait until we see and hear more about how serious Haaland's injury actually is. But he came off around the 45-minute mark. And Watkins, to top it off, also blanked, obviously, in that 2-0 loss to Nottingham Forest. And yeah, there's not much really else to talk about in the starting 11. Even on the bench, there's no returns. Leno, he got 4 saves and got a point on top of his 3 points in that 1-0 win over Man United. Andreas, he gets 3 points, 1 point for the clean sheet. Taylor, he gets 1 point. He lost 2-0 to Crystal Palace, and Branthwaite, the draw to Brighton. And he got a yellow card in that game. So no returns on the bench and only 2 in the starting 11, which leaves me currently on 27 game week points with 2 left to play, which is Maddison and Son. It is a small red arrow. I'm down to 85k. I was on, I believe,
80k, I think.
Yeah, so it's a small red arrow of 5k. And with Maddison and Son to still play, so I'm hoping for a little green arrow, but it's hard to tell really who has Maddison around my rank, but hopefully they obviously do well tomorrow against Chelsea at home. But yeah, that's how Game Week 11 has gone for me. Not really the greatest.
Yeah, for sure. Not a good game week for a lot of us, I feel like. But let us know how you did as well in the chat. We'll read your comments out now, actually. We've got Maring 52 says sup. Hope you're well, Maring. Harry Davies with a comment. Really good week for actual football. Absolute shambles for FPL teams, though, but I'm not really bothered since everyone did bad. I mean, that's one good way to look at it. If everyone did bad. I have Trippier and Luis Diaz on my bench. Nice to see Diaz scoring, considering what's going on in his personal life at the moment. But yeah, I'm not impressed with my team this game week. Yeah, I mean, Trippier, I wouldn't have benched Trippier if I had him, to be honest, even though it was a tough game against Arsenal where we expected Arsenal to probably score. But Trippier can get you bonus points, as we've seen. Luis Diaz is the interesting one because he came on for like 15, 20 minutes. So it was a bit, unlucky in your sense that he did kind of score because he didn't start the game. But yeah, it is nice to see Luis Diaz score. Obviously, after his dad is actually still I think held hostage, I believe. So yeah, it's nice to see Luis Diaz get the goal after everything that's going on, as you say. Brian, hi lads, 17 with Palmer left to play. What a game week! Yep, a lot of us with the low points this week. What have I missed? I need Maddison and Spurs clean sheet to save my week and a Son blank.
Oh, I'm assuming you don't have Son, but you have your doggy Maddison still, which is interesting. I wish I held on to Udogi now and not brought in Simicast.
Yeah, Simicast, obviously your transfer in ends up being benched. That's another bit of a mad little thing that's happened, but we'll see next week. I'll probably expect Simicast to start the next game against Brentford. My worst game week in years, says NH1999. Abhishek, sell Haaland. I think we've got to wait and see on the Haaland thing. If he's out for a long time, then obviously you sell him, but he could be back for game week 12. So again, we'll have to see midweek and what Pep says about him. Hope Udogi plays, says Fruit Plug. Colm says, sorry, go on.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Otherwise, that's more heartache for obviously people that have Spurs who have Udogi in their team.
Yeah, for sure. Colm also says, hit the like button, people. Yeah, guys, there is a few of you in here. If you haven't already, please do smash the like button. It really helps support the channel and, keeps us creating the content for you guys. So hit the like. If you are new around here, also make sure you do subscribe to the channel. We are, targeting 1,000 subscribers next. So do smash the subscribe and the like button. Really helps us out and shows us that, you're enjoying what you see. Mitoma and Mbeumo didn't get assists on most sites, but FPL gave them. Very annoying. Yeah, I mean, that's annoying as a non-owner, for sure.
Yeah, because I think Mitoma got 7 points on FPL. Yeah, so if you brought Mitoma in, you might be having a better game week than a lot of us.
Yeah, definitely. I saw Mitoma's goal. Was very lucky, the way he went in. He just looped over, obviously hit Ashley Young, looped over the goalkeeper. And it's not a proper assist, like in football terms. Obviously, I know FPL give those as assists. But here's what it is. Game week 12 is next. Obviously, game week 11 stuff is out the way for now. It's been poor. But we got to discuss how we're lining up for game week 12, because that is what we got to look forward to for next week. So I will bring my team up. Actually, don't know what my team looks like currently. So let me get my screen. Hold on, wait a sec. There we go. Bear with me, guys, while I just fix my screen. Hopefully you guys can see that. I know the bench isn't in there. Don't know why it's doing this. Can you see that? Is that a bit better?
Yeah, the bench is half up, but the starting 11 is visible.
Hold on.
Let's take a quick comment from Krogsberg while that's being sorted.
Yep.
So yeah, Krogsberg, I remember you saying you took a -8 to bring Han back in to your team. I was talking about this with Huss because I remember this comment that you made in the deadline stream, and I thought I feel really bad for Krogsberg because he's literally had a massive disaster, especially with Haaland coming off, and you triple captain Haaland as well, which is a double blow. So I do feel for you, Krogsberg, and obviously in your worst game week ever. It must feel like your FPL season's over.
Yeah, I don't know what your rank's gone to. Let us know. But yeah, that would be painful. Obviously, triple captaining Haaland. There was a few of you guys that did it, and it's just one of those, I guess. It happens. Harry says, guy at the top of my mini league has a midfield of Rodri, Jensen, Mitoma, Douglas Luiz. Still wondering how he's top 11 game weeks in. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, Mitoma's not done that well. I mean, Douglas Luiz, to be fair, has got quite a few big hauls so far this season. Let's discuss game week 12. As I said, in goal, I've got Areola, who's got Forest at home. I've got a back three currently of Cash, Gabriel, Simicast. I think they all have decent fixtures, so I'm happy to play all three. Hopefully, Simicast comes back into the starting 11 against Brentford, because I think with Gomez, Gomez wasn't terrible, but he's not a natural left back. He doesn't provide that width that Simicast does, hold the touchline. So I would bring Simicast back in. Hopefully Klopp does, because obviously, as you see from my bench, Dan Burton went off injured. So I don't know how serious that is. But defense, I'm happy to play those three. Midfield 5. Saka's got Burnley. I think it's a good fixture, so I'm happy to keep. Diaby's got Fulham. Son's got Wolves. Palmer has Man City. So again, that's tough fixture for Palmer going against his former side. I'm probably going to play him though against Man City for now. I do have one free transfer, so we'll see what moves I make. Salah's in there against Brentford. He's not going anywhere for me. Watkins as Fulham, and Haaland is currently flagged and who's got Chelsea away. So I think Game Week 12 is going to be slightly interesting because there's a few flags like a Haaland. If he's out, it definitely makes it interesting. Do you hold if he's out for a week? Do you hold and bench him? Do you sell him and bring him back in? That will make it interesting. Obviously, Dan Burn. I don't know how serious it is. Again, I'll have to wait and see for Eddie Howe's comments regarding Dan Burn, but I don't think he'll be. I don't think he'll be fit.
Yeah, it looked pretty bad when he sustained the injury because he fell really hard on his back, and yeah, that was the last we saw of him after half time. He was literally sat in the dugout with his coat on, and not ready to come out again after that. But hopefully, he's not out for long.
Yeah, for sure. I think Dan Burn I'm going to probably transfer him out if I'm being honest. I don't want to keep him long term. I think Gurhey is the one that I could be looking to bring in, or maybe a Brighton defender but then again, Brighton haven't kept a single clean sheet this season, so probably won't be a Brighton defender.
Yeah, I was thinking you could play Archer over Palmer because Brighton has conceded every game week so far in the season, and Archer just comes off a 9-pointer scoring. Yeah. He could be a potential shout to go for.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. It is a fair comment. I will wait and see what I do, I think, for Game Week 12, because currently I have no idea what I'm doing. I'll be honest. A lot of it depends on Haaland being fit. I'm not completely against playing Palmer, but ideally I don't want to play Palmer. I could play Archer, as you said. It wouldn't be a bad shout, maybe, because Brighton don't keep clean sheets. So yeah, that's what my team currently looks like. In terms of captain, I've not really given it much thought. Haaland's got Chelsea. Salah's got Brentford. It is at Anfield, so I know Salah's a lot better at Anfield as well. Liverpool are a lot better at home, so I could be tempted. I'm not 100% set on Haaland, but I'm probably going to go Haaland if I'm being honest. But I don't think Salah's a bad shout for Game Week 12. I know they weren't good today. Well, Salah wasn't good today, but I don't think that will continue as like a trend going forward. Son has Wolves, so I probably won't go there. Saka's got a decent fixture against Burnley, but I'm not too fond of Arsenal's attack right now, so I'm not sure if I'd be going Saka captain in Game Week 12. I still think that's risky. What do you think in terms of captaincy, though? Just looking early, do you think Haaland, if he's fit, because Chelsea might not be the greatest team, but they don't concede many goals.
Yeah, they don't concede many goals. But it's hard to go by because Man City just scored 6 against Bournemouth. I know Bournemouth have struggled so far this season, but Man City, the last 2 game weeks have looked really good. They look like they're back to the way they played, like we saw last season, very undisturbed, literally in control of the game. And yeah, with Rodri back in the team as well, makes a huge difference to Man City the way they're set up. And Doku as well is another great player. It just seems any player that Man City bring into the team just automatically plays like they've been there for many years, and it's just incredible. The assets that Man City have is ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, if it would be a different captain, I think if you have Alvarez in your team, if Haaland's not up to obviously up to fitness in that game.
Yeah, interesting you saying Alvarez actually, because I've not considered Alvarez, but if Haaland's out, then yeah, Alvarez definitely could become a captain option against Chelsea. But I'm not ruling Salah out completely. I mean, NH 1999, Salah cap next week for sure. Being a home game at Anfield, I'm not against going Salah, because I still think Chelsea's defense isn't as bad as it isn't that bad. I think they are pretty decent defensively. They don't concede many goals. Like, they lose games by the odd goal or by the odd 2 goals. They're not really a team that is going to let in 3 or 4. But yeah, we'll see closer to the time. But for now, that is what my lineup is. I'm happy to actually play this team and roll the transfer if I hear Haaland's fit, and just risk it with Palmer, and then make 2 free transfers next week. Use my 2 free transfers next week. But yeah, that's my thoughts going into Game Week 12. I'm happy with most of the team. But Jordan, same to you. How are you lining up for Game Week 12? Talk us through your dilemmas. Have you got 1 free transfer as well, or was it?
Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of wish I rolled this week, if I'm honest now, just because of that Haaland flag. But yeah, we've got Areola, who has Nottingham Forest at home in goal. In the back three of defence, we've got Tsimikas, who has Brentford at home, Luca Dean, who has Fulham at home, and Trippier, who has Bournemouth away. In midfield, we've got Maddison and Son, who both have Wolves away. Bowen, who has Nottingham Forest at home. Saka, who has Burnley at home. Up front, we've got the three forwards of Julian Alvarez, who has Chelsea away. Watkins, who has Fulham at home. And Haaland, who's currently flagged, has Chelsea away. And on the bench, we've got Leno, who has Aston Villa away. Andreas, the same fixture. Taylor, who has Arsenal away. And Branthwaite, who has Crystal Palace away. So, yeah, looking at the team, it's not really bad fixtures. It's just that Haaland flag, which is the issue.
If Haaland's fit and we get confirmation, are you just going to roll?
Yeah, I think this week, as long as there's no other problems in the team, I will want to roll, I think, going forward. Because I wanted to roll last game week, unless it was that for a doggy flag. But I'm hoping this week I just have no other issues in the team. And hopefully Haaland's not as serious as I hope to be. And then obviously, yeah, I would like to roll the game week.
Yeah, I think in your situation, it probably makes sense to roll if you can. Because obviously, Haaland, again, we'll have to wait and see on that. But the rest of the team looks pretty fine to me. Decent fixtures for everyone. Obviously, Trippier's got the nice fixture as well against Bournemouth.
I think in the case if Haaland's not fine, I could use the transfer to bring Wilson in, who has Bournemouth away, because I feel like that's a fixture to target. Obviously, Bournemouth are struggling, come off of 6 goals against City, and I think a Newcastle attacker would be pretty good. Even Gordon could be another option in the midfield, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I mean, your team's fine. Moving back onto my team, yeah, I'm in the similar boat. I think I want to roll, ideally. I could take out Burn for just looking at the fixtures again. Sorry, Game Week 12 is what we're on. These are the fixtures for Game Week 12. I am looking at potentially bringing in a Palace defender. So Palace have Everton at home. Everton are actually scoring a few goals now, so I'm not sure if Gurhi's worth it. But if I don't want to play Palmer this week, a Crystal Palace defender could make sense. And also, Crystal Palace have a decent fixture. I believe in Game Week 13, Crystal Palace play Luton when Tsimikas has Man City. Well, I wouldn't want to play Tsimikas against Man City because Tsimikas could actually get dropped for Gomez that game anyway. So a Crystal Palace defender against Luton. Obviously, Luton played really well today, but I do think they upped their game. Obviously, being at Liverpool, I think that could still be a decent clean sheet potential for Palace in that game. But yeah, that is what my current thinking is. I want to try fit in. I need to remove Dan Burn, I feel, from my team. I could actually try bringing a Newcastle defender anyway, and try play Lascelles or someone like that. But I'm not sure I want to go there. But yeah, Game Week 12 wise, what stands out to you in terms of fixtures or players you want to target? Like, is there anyone you look at? Like, Man United, we've got to speak about actually because we haven't spoken about Man United. They did win. Scrappy game. They weren't great. And, Bruno, as we saw, he comes up trumps with that goal right at the death, wins it for them. I think he ends up with a 10, 11 pointer. Was it 11 pointer? I think it was Bruno. Can't remember. Was it? Or maybe it was an 8 pointer.
I can actually check.
But yeah, is a Man United asset punt against Luton at home. I mean, Luton played really well today. In terms of defensively, they made it tough to beat for Liverpool, but they were at home. How do you see that one going against Man United?
It was 11 pointer for Bruno.
11 pointer for Bruno.
Yeah, I mean, it's at Old Trafford. Even though Man United's last win, I'll say, was not great, but not terrible. Again, another interesting game to watch. Not convincing yet again for Man United, but it does save Ten Hag, I think, for them winning the game. But yeah, Luton, I imagine they will play at the back like they did against Liverpool.
They'll sit back.
Yeah, so same sort of strategy, and obviously counter attack Man United. But yeah, it should be a game Man United should easily win. But again, we're seeing a Man United that struggles against teams like Luton. Like,
I was just going to say, Luton at home for Man United in Game Week 12. Then in Game Week 13, Man United have Everton, which could be seen as a decent fixture. And in Game Week 14, they have, obviously, Newcastle's a tough one. But the next 2 game weeks aren't too bad. If you've got Rashford, if you've got Bruno, there could be a hold. Like, I wouldn't be selling a Man United. If you've got Bruno, I wouldn't sell him before Luton, I think, at this stage.
Yeah, also 11-pointer. If you have still held on to Bruno, then yeah, probably hold on doing against Luton. I mean, why not? You've got nothing to lose, really. It is a good fixture, and it should be one that Man United should find comfortable. But again, you never know what you're going to get from Manchester United. I wasn't expecting a 1-0 win against, obviously, that game that obviously we watched yesterday. So yeah, it's literally a roll of the dice for Man United. I honestly wouldn't go there because I don't know what I would get going for assets.
Michael says, good evening. Gordon captain, Game Week 12. Interesting. Now, Gordon is an annoying pick annoying, but as you guys know, my transfer was Neto out for Palmer. So Palmer's yet to play, so we don't know how that's going to go. But Gordon did score against Arsenal, and he was one of the midfielders I was actually considering bringing him into my team. So it was a bit frustrating seeing Gordon get the winner against Arsenal, because I was looking at him. But he could be an interesting captaincy. I don't know if I'd do it, but an interesting shout. I am considering captaining Trippier if Haaland is out. Interesting as well, because Trippier, nice fixture against Bournemouth. And we've seen Trippier, he gets a clean sheet. If he nicks an assist, he'll get double digits. He'll get some bonus points. And he might not be a bad captaincy shout, against Bournemouth. If you want to be different.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's similar to what I said earlier on, going for like a Newcastle attacker like Callum Wilson. I think you could have a really good game week, especially with Isak being out as well. He's red flag currently for I think it's a groin injury. So he's expected back on the 25th of November. So yeah, I think it's
Wilson.
a great, I think Wilson for a short period of time is a great, obviously player to bring in, especially for that Bournemouth fixture. It could be one where you see him get a massive haul, maybe potentially captain worthy. 5.9% ownership as well.
Nice one. Comment here from Salah Fingers. I need to ditch Burn next week. No clue who to replace him with. I mean, I'm in the same boat, pretty much. I've got Dan Burn. And I'm actually looking at a Palace defender. Someone like Gurhey is who I'm considering. I know Palace got a clean sheet this game week against Burnley. So ideally, I wanted to bring in Gurhey this week, but I had to go early because of Neto getting injured. But Gurhey was the plan. I would have had a clean sheet as well. But Gurhey could be an interesting 4.5 million defender because he plays Everton at home. Potential clean sheet there. Game week 13, Gurhey plays Luton. Game week 14, he has West Ham. Game week 15, it's Bournemouth. So if it's not Gurhey, it could be someone like an Anderson, Tyrick Mitchell. Tyrick Mitchell did score for a 15-pointer. So fair play to anyone that had Tyrick Mitchell as well. Big haul for him on a weekend.
Isn't more about? I know this is a bit backwards, but maybe a Brighton defender may be good to go forward because they do have Sheffield United, and you would think
they've not kept a clean sheet though.
Yeah, that's the thing I want to move on to. Even though they haven't kept a clean sheet this season so far, they're due for one, and my gut feeling is they might get one against Sheffield United. So maybe going for a Brighton defender may not be a bad idea. I particularly like Lewis Dunk. He did have a goal, but it was ruled out. So maybe he could be a potential pick to go for to ditch Burn next week.
Interesting. Yeah, could be. I did look at potentially a Brighton defender because they have the fixtures. I know they haven't kept the clean sheet, but the fixtures are pretty decent short term. Yeah, Estupiñán, the problem with him, he's not fit still, is he? So Estupiñán would have been an easy move. I would have bought him in if he was fit, but I don't know when he's back. Does anyone know in the chat? I believe he's still out, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still out too. It's unknown when he's actually going to return. So
he would have been great.
Yeah, he would be perfect. to go forward with
for
the
these fixtures.
fixtures. Yeah, absolute perfect.
Just quickly. Also, guys, I just want to actually mention there is a few of you in here, new subs. Thank you to all the new subscribers. But if you are watching first timer, do hit that subscribe button. Please share the video as well if you can in your socials. And there's about 20 of you odd in here. If you haven't, please do smash the like button, guys. It really helps support the channel, and it helps with the YouTube algorithm, and pushes our videos out to be seen by more people. So like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell as well. But yeah, in terms of I feel like it's getting to a stage with the season now where we should be maybe looking at a couple of differentials. I know Doku was the big one, wasn't it, this week, getting that massive haul. Is there anyone left field you're looking at that maybe people aren't looking at and that you think are underlooked players, or any player that's caught your eye that you think you want to bring in?
Well, there is obviously the one I've spoken about a bit through the stream, and that is Wilson, potentially Gordon as well. So 2 Newcastle assets there. Another player that maybe could have a nice 1 week punt is Nketiah. He does have a nice fixture of Burnley at home. Considering he scored a hat-trick against Sheffield United, maybe Nketiah is good for the newly promoted teams to target. So he's another differential that potentially no one will really look at, especially after Arsenal's performance against Newcastle this game week. Another potential player could be one of the Spurs assets, like maybe a Pedro Porro for defence. Although Spurs, obviously, there's not many defenders we have for Spurs as the fixtures do change.
Though. Do you see many clean sheets for Spurs in the next? It's the fixtures are tough, Chelsea, Wolves, Villa, City, West Ham, Newcastle.
Yeah, there are tough fixtures in between those, but
I don't see many clean sheets here.
No, I don't see many clean sheets. I mean, well, Neto has been dropped from Wolves. That did affect them, honestly, at the weekend. Aston Villa struggled against Nottingham Forest as well. And Chelsea, you don't know what to expect from, obviously, that tomorrow. But, yeah, there could be, obviously, issues with the fixtures. But it could be a surprise like that Newcastle clean sheet against Arsenal. Because the way Spurs are playing at the moment, they're still the only team now to be unbeaten so far this season.
Yeah, they are. We'll have to see if they keep it up. Because obviously Chelsea tomorrow night, which I am actually going for. I think I backed the draw in that game, Chelsea Spurs. I think there might be a bit of a surprise. Raz, they could get 2 clean sheets max in those 6. I agree. I don't see many clean sheets in those fixtures. But there could still be attacking returns, as we know Spurs are playing really well so far this season. Who is your top priority transfer, says Abhishek? If I'm being honest, it's hard to say right now. I know people won't be keen on Darwin after his miss today, one of his misses. But I am actually looking at Darwin potentially in the coming weeks for Watkins. I'm also looking at a different midfielder instead of Diaby. I probably want to get rid of Diaby in a couple of weeks. So again, I don't know right now. I'm hoping something pops up in the next couple of weeks that, Doku becomes nailed or something interesting happens where I could bring in a player like a Bowen even. Mbeumo is definitely one I'm looking at. Definitely Game Week 14 onwards. I like Mbeumo. He probably will be coming into my team for Diaby. Mbeumo has actually had 2 price rises already, very quick ones. So hopefully I don't get priced out of it. But Mbeumo is one I'm looking at for sure. Same question to you though. Who are you looking at in terms of priority transfers into your team?
That's pretty actually clear for me. I'm glad to say that's actually who I've got in mind is pretty simple. That is Maddison, because obviously Spurs fixtures do change, as we have spoken about, even though I suggested the Spurs defender. But come game week 14, they have Man City. So I don't think I'd want Maddison for that game week, especially when I have Son already. So I think Son's enough cover for Spurs. So I'm looking to bring in Matoma or Mbeumo for Maddison.
Okay. There you go. It looks like Brighton, Brentford assets could be on the cards. Differentials, Bowen, Doku, Eze, Wissa, and Mbeumo, says Michael as well. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it's a game week to forget so far. I think that's fair to say. But I'm hoping game week 12 is a lot better. But again, a lot of home fixtures, I feel like, though. Because DRB has a home fixture. Aston Villa playing at home to Fulham. Arsenal play home as well. Liverpool at home. So it should be a better week. Fingers crossed. Game week 12. But yeah, it's definitely going to get interesting, I think, coming weeks. And yeah, wait and see on Haaland before we do any moves. Don't go early, guys. And with your transfers, wait till the final press conferences, etc., before you make your moves. Is this the final game week, by the way, before international break? It is, isn't it? It is. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So game week 12, and then after that, we've got a week break, international, and then we're back. And their first game back is Man City at home to Liverpool, early kickoff for game week 13. So after game week 12, there's an international break. So sometimes I do like going into an international break with 2 free transfers, and I'm not against rolling. That's why I actually wouldn't mind rolling a transfer and just playing Palmer this week. But yeah, that is what the plan is. Haas is Simicast fine for the starts in the next 2? Honestly, Raz, I wouldn't bet on it. No, I think against Brentford, just going to Simicast. Against Brentford, I think he will probably start at home as well. Anfield, I'd expect him to start. But against Man City, I am not 100% sure he'll start because it is a tougher fixture. Klopp could decide to play Gomez for just that bit of more defensive security. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if Gomez played left back against Man City at the Etihad as well, where it is a lot more tough, an away game as well. So next 2, I'm not sure. I think maybe you get Brentford out of him. But maybe have some defensive cover as well for that City fixture. You probably don't want to play Simicast against City anyway because he's probably going to concede.
Yeah, definitely can see that happen.
Any other questions, guys? Do let us know in the chat. If anything you want us to chat about that we've missed out on, or any questions regarding your teams, do put them in the chat below. Also, guys, I've got to mention it as well. Always hit that like, hit that subscribe button. And yeah, it really helped. Appreciate your support as well, guys. No worries, Raz. But yeah, just very quickly previewing tomorrow's game. How do you see this one going then? Again, like, are you pretty confident of Son and Maddison returns against Chelsea? I think it'll be a tough one for Chelsea. I think it'll be a tough one for Spurs tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be a tough one for both teams. Very unsure which way it will go, but it'll be, I think, an action-packed game, hopefully, where both teams are involved and both teams score, and hopefully Maddison and Son are part of those, obviously, in that fixture.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think with Chelsea, I just think they're gonna have a surprise tomorrow. I would not rule out Chelsea getting a point. Salah Finger says 2-1 Spurs. It's possible. I mean, Spurs done very well. It's top of the league, aren't they? If they win.
Yeah.
So it's a big game. Big game for Spurs. And fixtures do slightly turn for Spurs. So the next 6 or 7 games are going to be definitely interesting. If Spurs can stay around the top after game week 16, then I think I will take Spurs a lot more seriously. I still think when I look at Spurs' fixtures, they've had some nice games. I don't want to disrespect Spurs. Obviously, they've not lost a game yet, but I think this is when it gets a bit more tough and their squad will be tested. So that's what I do want to see. If Spurs can keep this up in the next run of fixtures. Thoughts on Son to Saka for a 1-week punt, says Ramsino.
No, not this week. Not when Saka has Burnley at home.
No, he wants to bring Saka in.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'll still say no because Son has a nice fixture against Wolves away, and I think I'd want to keep a Spurs asset, especially when Son is very highly owned as well. Very, very harsh to the rank if you don't have any Spurs assets, especially. So I'd like to still keep Son, and I don't know, Saka. I'll have to wait and see for him after we've seen him in that Newcastle game. I know it's tricky, but yeah, I don't know about Saka.
Yeah, I wouldn't be taking Son out at all. I think Son is important as Haaland and Salah. Really, like he's one of those players that you don't really want to sell if you've got him, because Son is playing up front for a team that's could be top of the league if they win tomorrow. Playing out of position. He's a midfielder playing up front, and I just think he's very clinical. He's the main man in terms of scoring goals. I just think I wouldn't be getting rid of Son at all for anyone really. For me, Son is kind of a hold like long term, unless obviously the form for Spurs dips massively. But Son is someone that I'm trying to keep longer term in my team.
Yeah, he's the main man for Spurs now since Harry Kane has left.
Yeah, I mean Harry Kane obviously getting the hat trick the last night in the game against Dortmund. So shout out to Harry Kane, doing really well as well in Germany. Gameweek 13-14 change up for certain teams, right? Yeah, there is a fixture swing. We're going to talk about that obviously more in our team selection videos, and with the players we're looking to bring in. I think it's going to get interesting. Like Brentford, for example, I have a little swing, and I think we're going to be looking at Brentford players coming in, like an Mbeumo who's done really well. I am actually looking at Mbeumo. Surprisingly, Mbeumo still carried on his amazing run of form that he's had. Just looking at Mbeumo, he comes off with a 5-pointer this weekend after his assist against West Ham. However, he did get a goal and an assist against Chelsea in Game Week 10, which was very nice for those that had them. 14-pointer against Burnley as well in Game Week 9. That came, after a series of blanks, which people were frustrated and got rid of him. However, Brentford have now won 3 games in a row for the first time, obviously, this season. They have got Liverpool and Arsenal next, though. So,
yeah,
me personally, I wouldn't want to bring Mbeumo in before he's got to go to Arsenal and obviously Liverpool at Anfield is also an away game. I think next 2 fixtures I'd be looking to avoid Mbeumo, but after that, Luton, Brighton, Sheffield, Villa, I think he's definitely going to be looking at as a potential, buy for people's teams.
Yeah, we should see a drop in those 2 fixtures that Mbeumo has up next, and see an uprise in his form and Brentford's form come Game Week 14 when he has Luton at home, and a lot of people think we'll bring him in then.
Yeah, for sure. I think with Mbeumo, you just wait and see how he does against Liverpool and Arsenal. I wouldn't want to bring him in with those 2 tough games. Any other player we've got to discuss? I want to discuss Darwin as well. Obviously, we saw Darwin, missed a few chances. He had that one hit the crossbar. I don't think that was an easy chance, by the way, where he kind of controlled it on his knee, hits the crossbar with a quick shot. The one he should have scored, obviously. Now, for those that didn't watch the game, the one that didn't watch the game, what was I saying? For those that didn't watch the game, look, I think had a shot, didn't he? Darwin, I believe. And you said it was offside. I was looking at that chance again, and it looked like, for me, it looked like Darwin was actually onside. So if he scored, I believe that would have gone on. That would have counted. So yeah, it was very frustrating that Darwin missed that chance, because for me, he looked onside, and I think he would have went VAR and then it would have allowed it. But yeah, look, Darwin's an interesting player we've got to talk about, because he did accumulate 0.9 XG. So he had the chances to score a goal definitely today, and he should have scored. And against Forest, again, he had 1.15 XG. The guy is getting a lot of chances. And I know the fixtures next 2 aren't the easiest, because Brentford and Man City. So maybe you want to hold out. But Game Week 14, I am looking at Darwin Núñez in my team. Sheffield as well. Game Week 15, Game Week 16, he's got Palace. So those are nice 3-game runs where Watkins fixtures turn. And I'm not going to let the misses put me off of Darwin. And I still think he could be a little interesting option in the coming weeks. Doku, another one we've got to talk about. Obviously, a lot of people are going to look at Doku now as a buy because of the madness that he's done in Game Week 11, especially after getting that 22-pointer, 4 assists, 1 goal, brilliant performance from Doku. He looks like a really good, exciting signing for a Man City fan. Price at 6.6 million. His ownership has risen quite considerably after having a price rise, I believe, last night. Fixtures though aren't the greatest. If I'm being honest, it depends how you look at it. Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, Villa. So these are 4 of the better teams of the league. Obviously, Chelsea, maybe not so, but Chelsea don't concede that many goals. And one thing I do worry about Doku, though, is I feel like in the bigger games, as we saw in the Manchester derby, he didn't start. Grealish was preferred on the left side ahead of Doku. So I still do worry, like against Liverpool, he could go back to playing Grealish, tried and trusted. He knows what he's going to get from Grealish. And he maybe brings Doku on in the easier fixtures against the easier teams. That is my slight worry with bringing Doku in. I want to see if he plays against Liverpool and Spurs. If Doku starts against Liverpool and Spurs, the tougher games, then that maybe means that he's more of a nailed player for me. Then I'll be looking to bring him in. But I'm still not sure about bringing him into my team, if I'm honest. But what's your take on it with Doku?
Yeah, with Doku, that was the thing with his minutes are very random in places like we spoke about. In the Arsenal game, he only played 22. And yeah, it does seem in big games, he doesn't start in them. So I don't know what that kind of means for in terms of Pep is playing for the more or less challenging games and seeing how he gets on. And then maybe come these difficult games coming up for Man City, maybe he potentially goes for him over maybe a Jack Grealish in these tougher games, because Doku seems to be outperforming, I think, by miles, Jack Grealish. I think he is more of an attacking threat, Doku, going forward after that, especially after that 22-pointer where he got 4 assists and 1 goal. I'll say, even though Bournemouth are struggling and they've conceded a lot of goals, I still think that's pretty good for obviously a midfielder at 6.6 million, whose ownership is only 3%. If you had Doku in that game week, I mean, you've won pretty much the game week, considering how it's gone so far. And I'm hoping he does play more minutes consecutively in matches so that he may become an option to go for. Because at the moment, it's really hard to go for short picks, I feel like, because there's not really anyone that has stood out that is sort of like a gem to go for. And hopefully Doku plays more consecutive matches.
Yeah, I'm still worried with Pep Roulette, if I'm being honest with Doku. I wouldn't be surprised if he's benching against Liverpool or against Spurs. I just see Grealish playing on that left-hand side. But again, we'll wait and see how that transpires and how that plays out. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up here, Been nearly an hour. We are back again, I believe, on Tuesday, isn't it, for the transfer tips video?
Yeah.
Ahead of game week 12. So make sure you do tune in. And then Thursday, obviously, team selection and deadline stream again, weekend. And we're back Sunday again for KNEEJERK. So you guys know the drill. You guys know the schedule. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well if you are enjoying the content. And Jordan, that's it from me pretty much. Is there anything else you want to add to this shambles of a game week?
I think we've dragged this painful game week as much as we possibly can, and given all we could really for this game week, has literally not much has pretty much happened, as a lot of you in the chat have described and obviously went through the same as us. Low scoring game week and a lot of red arrows for most of us, but hopefully game week 12 turns a corner for this game week and we can forget this one once the Monday night fixture, Spurs and Chelsea and Spurs are now finished, because this game week is still ongoing. There's still one more game to play, and that is tomorrow. So hopefully that brings a bit more sunshine to this very bad game week. But yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah, I'm saying that's it from us, I guess. We're back again Tuesday. So take care, guys. Just take these off the screen. Layout. Yep. We will see you very shortly. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate all the support and love. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button before you go, and we will see you shortly. Thank you.